What's up, guys? It's the Carey and Jeremy show. We got part 2 coming up for you, so check it out. Next on the docket.
Yes, should kids work out? And if they're working out, should we engage weights? And at what point maybe, or should you not?
Now we have to really distinguish what is a kid and what is a young adult and what is an adult.
Kid!
So I think kids probably would think between like 6 years old to 8 years old, and then we see a 9 years old to maybe 11 years old, and we see 12 to 14 where you're starting to see that really young toddler, adolescent to puberty to post, and where they fit into that spectrum. And then we really start to think about load-bearing activities. But whenever we look at the 6 to 8 year old, 9 to 11 year old, running, jumping, throwing, kicking, passing, we know that they're going to be doing a somewhat plyometric movement modality, which is going to be load bearing of their own body weight by jumping and landing. That's the essence of plyometrics. So I would say from that standpoint, for 6 to 8 and 9 to 11 year olds, load bearing by own body weight, utilizing plyometrics, jumping, running, playing, throwing, that is very powerful that children could do to create the neurological connection through body awareness, motor recruitment patterns, and creating systems of movement through run ladders, through agility drills, and making them all games such as obstacle courses, jumping from one place to another. Those are all going to develop their sensory and awareness. Also getting into a pool, learning how to swim, learning body awareness in water. These are some key elements that I focus on my children to develop them as they move into that 12 to 14 year age range, where I could see them to start to actually load with moderate to light dumbbells, barbells, so they can learn technique, because that would be the next essence of loading, would be skills and technique that would propel them into their later teenage years, that 14 to 18 year old range, where we would begin to load. And I think this is a process for me, and as you might see, as I've thought a lot about this, because I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and as I'm really thoughtfully creating a path for them to develop their skill sets, their motor recruitment patterns, to set them up to be multi-versatile in whatever field of sports that they go into. And so with my kids, they've all done from adolescence to survival infant swim, from 6 months old, 8 months old, to a year old up, where they can swim, they have body awareness in the water, they're doing those type of plyometric obstacle course. Now we're moving in with my 7-year-old, he's doing golf, he's doing tennis, he's doing soccer, same with my daughter, soccer, tennis right now. Those are all skills. Those aren't sports they're gonna play for the rest of their lives, but it's foundational skills that will develop into who they will be in their next phase. And now Carey has a 14-year-old
And a 12-year-old.
and a 12-year-old, so she's in that other portion, so she might have a different little mindset to it as well.
I 100% agree with Jeremy with those younger kids. It's really play and sports, and so making it fun and very natural for these kids. But I think once they get into that 10, 11, when you're doing some structure behind exercise, simply doing like planks and push-ups, and you talk about the fundamentals of developing a strong core body and body awareness through movement. So just like a good squat, having these kids slow down and move through a good squat. Of course kids want to go fast at everything, so it's just about slowing down. But again, that body weight load is plenty, and then as they progress in showing they have body control, we then can load the body. And I think putting those weights in movement and activity is then available for that next level. So Savannah, she's grown up in the box, and so she's developed the skill and lift kind of as she's progressed now at 14, working with the barbell. And then Stone, as a BMX, bike athlete, he does a lot of body awareness exercise, and even has done some weight at 12, some weights like deadlift or just picking something heavy up, but that coupling that with jumping and being explosive. So it's just kind of combining the two as they progress, and then can get, as they move into more adult weightlifting style patterns. But absolutely, it is about making it fun, keeping it interesting, and then developing their skill as they grow, starting with body weight.
Like around 15 to 16, depending on the individual and their maturity level, I would start doing actual weight bearing, barbell loaded, back squat, deadlifts, cleans, presses, functional athletic movements to allow them to develop to their next phase, especially if they're sport specific. Baseball, football, basketball, soccer, those sports specifically are going to need power, and loading through dynamic movements such as barbells is going to allow them to go to that, especially if they want to go to that next level of collegiate sport. At 15 years old, it's going to be critical for them to go to that next level, depending again on their maturity. By 16, I would absolutely say load bearing, back squat, presses, cleans, deadlifts. Those are areas that you want to teach high skill development plus load bearing as they move up that ladder. And of course, by 18, 19, they're generally like ready to go full tilt as long as they're under supervision and guided. So, coming from the phrase caught, not taught, really impacted me when I heard that. And so what does it mean to be caught, not taught? Is living a lifestyle and the people around you catching on to that and actually pursuing it independently of saying, do this, this is how you do it. So when I think about my children and living a lifestyle that me and Lisa live, our children just catch it. My daughter, who is 4, is very proactive. She has her own kids barbell, plastic kettlebell that she asked for. My son's a little bit different. He is mainly, if you ask him to do anything, he'll say no. So we've been utilizing that caught theory quite well. And we just consistently be who we are. We always invite, but we never say do. And over his 7.5 years on the planet, he's now starting to do push-ups, starting to do kettlebell swings, and a lot of it he just picks up and does on his own. And I'll give him a couple cues: elbows in, chest up, this, and very soft for him, and he picks it up and has done really well with it. So it's been neat to see him as he goes. And another thing that's really big in my family is we talk a lot about practice, because my kids are under the assumption that if they did it once, they know how to do it. And so I just utilize that word. I just say practice, 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 practice all the time, just so they know that whenever it's their light bulb that goes off and they catch it, that they need to practice.
Yeah, so the kids watching myself, and Chris in the gym, wherever, staying active, it's definitely been picked up, caught, and then encouraged. And even my daughter at 14, I feel like she's almost stepped away from following my footsteps in fitness and choosing her own path because she's exploring now. And so I invite, and then I let her kind of choose what path, because this is a lifelong journey, and I definitely don't want there to be pressure on people or anyone, or the kids especially, to all of a sudden maybe not like it or think that it's work and not fun or interactive, and rather make it something that, hey, this is something that you're going to do the rest of your life. So choose what you want to do and stay engaged in it and active, because that is important to stay healthy and strong. So definitely there's phases with the kids, as they go in and they love it, or they want to step out and try something new, but it's always about encouraging, inviting, and then being a role model, and saying, hey, this is lifelong, so no matter where you're at, the circumstance that you're in, stay active. So it's been fun to watch.
Ask Carey and Jeremy Show, guys. We're so grateful for you guys asking us, and continue to bring the questions to us, and we will be here next week. So y'all have a great week.
Thanks, you guys.
Today.